Alright, Craig, how's it going? We are making the video from your first lesson. Two things that I think you're going to really need to embrace this week are as follows. One, starting position. There are any number of things we talked about that are applying a general technique concept across the board. For instance, how we're going to pick the bass, your thumb placement when sliding, and so unilaterally you're going to apply across the board. And a good left hand, get ready to do the type of phrasings we're going to need to on this bass exercise. That's this feeling. What we're working on here is your index ring playing, just your like 1-3-1-3. I'm a rock and roll player. And it'll be imperative that your thumb be not like here or whatever. And, as discussed, when you slide, you've been going like this. Because, here's me simulating that. If my thumb trails, then I have to compensate. And then when I get to here, I would go like that. Either way, you really need to dismantle the old version being significant or relating to the new version in any way that means the old one has any negative connotation. That was not the most well-formed couple sentences, but I think you follow. So the other step that I need you to embrace is the part where we just memorize the dance steps and break stuff into little teeny sections. So, this exercise on bass goes boom, jicka, boom, bit, boom, dit, boom, dit, but I want you to go, okay, okay, and then just be going, until you feel actually comfortable ghosting. And don't loop it. That's the other step. It's going to be one focused attempt at the subsection, pause. Like here, it would be, I would think of that as one. And you're just working on the ghost note and using your ring finger in this position. So over here, I got my thumb on the pickup and I'm extended back here like we talked about. So we're pushing in at the instrument. We end up on these strings and so forth when we pick. So 1 and 2. Anyway, there. Subsection 1, and it can be this slow. And there can be a 10-second pause between parts 1 and 2, and it's imperative that you be thinking about technique. Pretend this song goes if you need to. Gigantic pause. Gigantic pause. But yeah, so we're going. And that's when it would be important that you actually slid and actually kept your hand spread out. You're used to doing this playing power chords probably, though it's easier to trail one's thumb when playing power chords. It's just like an inverted power chord. But anyway, there we go. We've gone. And we're always picturing a piece of string between about your middle finger and your thumb. It's all shoulder, elbow. We also, left hand wise, we talked about just being at an at rest position, shoulder and elbow, not resting on your leg or up here high, eliminating all things where your hand disappears behind the instrument, feeling like my palm's always getting touching. So stuff like this, like, oh, I've been sliding wrong. It's just you just have to consciously correct it, bro. There's no other thing for it. And the bigger the section that you try to do it while playing, the bigger waste of time it'll be. And again, if we think about that from the half full perspective, if you do just break it down into a little teeny section, for instance, if you've just been going, then what you're really working on is going. So you could just, if you're working on that aspect, you could totally disregard what finger you're using and just go, because that's what you're working on at the moment is sliding and making sure that your thumb moves. And you could, and it can be like a pause of any length. And just getting used to that nice loosey-goosey feeling of how sliding actually is, unless we're literally going. Cool. And then it's the same thing for all the chords. It's like, G da boom or doom da boom da boom da doom da boom da boom da boom. So, sorry. All right, the dome. So I think on the D, you don't need to do that. You can just go. And again, that was. again, emphasis on not doing it in rhythm until you've actually just gone, until that becomes easy. If you isolate that, it's not going to take that long to actually get your thumb moving if you try to just be aware of it while working on a large section, tougher times. Hey, the other thing we did is this right hand exercise where we're going, and now you can do, like we're making a point, you can just ignore your left hand, though generally we're advocating for I can reach my finger technique as opposed to my high guitar, one big finger flopping around thing. Cool. So now we're going this that I'm doing fast, but yeah, we got 1, 2, so we're going, low, high. That's our thing, and we're doing it with a fifth and an octave. Cool. So I'm playing that fast because at some point in my life I sat there and did that for hours and hours. Starting might be like, and the key thing is do it once. Consciously focus on what you're doing. Introduce the dance steps to yourself. Then add musicality and rhythm and so forth. And again, any of these individual little sections will not be that difficult on their own steam. So now moving over to the guitar side of things, which will involve me grabbing a guitar. I was watching a random Dave concert, which like yesterday kind of got me thinking Dave from 2001. And yeah, maybe just watch him play some rhythm guitar on any song, however the verse part went, and you'll see that he and everyone else in the history of stuff when they are playing a straight rhythm guitar part are, in fact, using this wider range of motion we talked about. There are any number of things, excuse me for the clunking, any number of things you can do not in this position, but this is how you play rhythm guitar, So please put on any, it's, if I'm playing like this stone here, that's this range of motion, just right here. But still, it's like, it's wider than, and this thing is not a functional strumming style. It's got a lot of limitations for picking. You're not like a metal guy where you need to be like doing crazy sweep picks. So yeah, I think there was a couple, like a song we figured out at the end where you were actually, due to like the tempo of the song, it was some Dave thing. We talked about tripping wheelies to get you playing it, where the tempo is fast enough and it was a wide enough range of motion song where you already were strumming correctly. But either way, easiest chord ever, anything that has 6 strings in it. Yes, there are chords where we hit 5 strings, etc. At the moment, we're working on just strumming. So yeah, just go for 1 down up, and think you're like playing a new instrument that's just a lot like the one you've been learning on. The more you can make a clear distinction in your head where this feels like a new concept, not a new version of an old concept, the easier it'll be to actually get better at. So we can all agree that we want to be able to do nuanced stuff while we're in this range of motion. Then we also want to be able to like play rhythm guitar properly, and that's how we do it. So I'm just playing like E minor. I'm just going, and I can be doing that. Like, just what we want is 1. That's your assignment first. Is getting a nice clean one of those where you don't hit, like where you don't line it up. You just wind up, raise all the strings in one motion with the tip of your pick, making it not sound like or whatever, but just you don't actually have to use that much attack. And that's how we play rhythm guitar. I would encourage you to pause your video now and just pull up like the chorus of any Dave song or whatever. Just watch anybody when they're not literally going like I'm playing a song like this or whatever, and still strumming. That's how we get after it, unless there's some compelling reason not to. So yeah, I mean, with adult learning curve, relearning something can be 500% to 1000% more difficult. So the more you can trick yourself into just going, okay, this is something I didn't really work on yet, new thing that relates to other things you can already do a lot more nuanced, fancy stuff with your right hand, but this is not a functional way to play. And, as we discussed during the lesson, it grew out of when we all line our pick up here and go to strum, it sounds terrible because there's no way to just move in that range of motion and not hit these strings really hard. So yeah, just a wider range of motion. It's all good. And this just is not really something I advocate doing at any point ever. I'd also go ahead and watch maybe a Dave show because you like percussive playing or anyone and see if they'd ever do that. I'm not trying I think you're sold, but if we need to trick you subconsciously into being extra sold, that would be one way to do it. It's all good. Like again, you're a self-taught player. This is the part where you're getting around to just working on, okay, now what if I wanted to just be playing percussive? Just percussive, not nuanced percussive. But while we're at it, when we're doing but when I get to any or however it goes, we're switching to full on strumming at that point. So what you've accomplished by doing this is just totally something you need to punt and just play guitar like the rest of us. Little strums, don't anchor here. Just be comfortable with this being difficult. It's all good. This part is difficult. No problem. Cool. And I think that's the vast majority of what we did. I was just like, hey, here's how to strum. And then we picked some arbitrary random rhythms. The first one and most important one being just going 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and oh no, I'm thinking of Brian, but nonetheless, any version of I am strumming. While we're at it, when we're playing a chord like C, your thumb muting the sixth string, ideally, so that we can strum full on out. So when we're playing that chord, or D, we're playing click. No, 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 no. So yeah, this is how we play rhythm guitar. So there you go, get after it. Enjoy, let me know if you have any other questions or anything. Returning to the very first thing I said, the most important thing for you is going to be starting position for all these new technique concepts. Just going, am I cool here? Am I cool here on both instruments? Setting a little minute game plan for yourself in your head. Okay, I'm going to do X, not Y this time. And actually accomplishing something in every practice. Pretend this matters. Pretend there's a test on it. And we just want to continue to make a clear distinction between short-term projects, like working on getting your thumb to move when you slide, and long-term projects, like, okay, I'm going to feel more comfortable with playing rhythm guitar this way. Or I guess that'd be more like a medium-term project or long-term project. I can just solo, or something like that. It's all good. That's the nature of any complex task or broad skill set. Anyhow, brother, there you go. Sorry I didn't send this to you last night, and I will see you in the new year.